I'm joined now by Mark Meirowitz, who is a professor at the State University of New York. Professor, White House Press Secretary Jen Psaki has reiterated the lack of U.S. interest in establishing a no-fly zone over Ukraine. I'm wondering if you can explain to us the significance of what a no-fly zone means and why the U.S. doesn't support it.
Well, Jen Psaki said two important things. First of all, no-fly zone. No-fly zone is important because it would then prevent Russian aircraft from bombing and would be very, very helpful. Zelensky's asked for it. But the problem there is the fear that you'd end up with an actual shooting war between American and NATO pilots and Russian pilots, which could lead to a cataclysm. But the other thing that she said was no ban on Russian oil and gas imports. And actually, a group of bipartisan congressmen and senators have asked the White House, are trying to pass legislation to ban Russian oil and gas imports to the United States. Jen Psaki basically said, no, we're not going to do that. And now, gee whiz, that just counts for 10% of the imports. But the truth of the matter is, if you think about it, the United States has not cut off Russia completely from SWIFT because it wants to keep these imports coming. And this is very, very problematic. This could be a real mechanism to hurt Russia. So no-fly zone on the military side, we're not doing that because it's too dangerous. And oil and gas because, again, the American politicians are worried, particularly the White House, that the gas prices will go up too high, and that will be pushback from American people. So they're worried about that.
Yeah, certainly. I can imagine a lot of Americans would be angry about high gas prices. You know, the Biden administration is seeking another $10 billion to help protect Ukraine as part of budget talks, which are already underway. Is that likely to get support, and is that another way for the administration to push through its budget?
No, I think that there's real bipartisan support for helping Ukraine with and providing military assistance, humanitarian aid. I think that will go through on all levels, U.S., NATO, internationally, and so forth. The problem is that the Russians are advancing militarily, and they're also, killing innocent civilians. And that is a cataclysm on so many levels. Besides the humanitarian level, it really kind of destroys all of our ideas about peace and stability and world order are just completely wiped away here. And what you showed earlier in the UN Human Rights Council is a completely ridiculous statements by the Russian representative, which is laughable, that the idea that the United States is providing weaponry, the weaponry provided by the U.S. and NATO is to protect the people in Ukraine. It's not to launch attacks on Russia. This is completely a fabrication. So we're in a very bad way, I think, all levels, in terms of regionally, internationally, all the ideas, UN, NATO, we're really in a very, very difficult situation. But the big problem is humanitarian and the implications of children and being killed and women and, just innocents being destroyed, maternity centers being attacked. There's no excuse for that. And really, it shocks humanity.
Yeah, it really certainly does. Moving out of that region, leaders of the Quad grouping of countries, so the U.S., India, Australia, and Japan, agreed that what's happening in Ukraine should not be allowed to happen in the Indo-Pacific. So we're talking about Taiwan here. Does what's happening in Ukraine put Taiwan potentially in more danger of China trying to take advantage of the situation? Is that realistic?
Well, I kind of see it a little bit differently. I mean, certainly, help getting those important allies on board and supporting American policy is important. But if I were China and I were looking at what was going on, this is what I would see. I would see that Russia attacked Ukraine and the world really coalesced. 141 nations in General Assembly against 5 to sanction and criticize Russia. I think China would be understanding that if they did something in Taiwan, the world's now united against Russia, that they would be fearful that something similar would occur on Taiwan. So I think that What happened here was surprising in a way, because I think Russia thought, gee, we're going to go do this. We'll just, mop up Ukraine. We'll conquer them in a day or two. And actually, they were not able to do that because the Ukrainian people defended themselves. They have a leader who is uniting the people, NATO, standing ovation in the British Parliament for the Ukrainian ambassador. There's unanimity in the world. China is seeing this, and just be very careful. You saw that they abstained at the major Security Council, and the two times that there were votes on this, China abstained. Now, why would they abstain? They don't want to be, yes, they want to support Russia. Yes, they want to be allies with Russia, but they don't want to be out there in terms of being kind of associated with this type of action. And I think this will convince them to be very, very wary in trying to do a Taiwan move and then face these kinds of repercussions and reactions from the world community. I think that the genie's out of the bottle. The world is not going to allow this type of aggression.
All right, thank you for that. Mark Meirowitz joining us from New York.